The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Hi, this is Kathleen Taylor with the Nevada Women's Business Center. I'd like to welcome you to our webinar series this morning. Thank you for tuning in on a Saturday morning. We're going to have a fantastic program, and it's part of our Small Business Startup Steps series. And with that, we have a fantastic group that are very active in the small business development sector. And we also have a guest speaker, our very own colleague, Rob Selander, and he's going to share with us some fantastic strategies about marketing. So with that being said, I'd like to introduce to you one of our resource partners, Mr. Dino Brown of the Las Vegas Urban League. And Dino, how are you this morning?
I'm doing great, Kathleen. Thanks so much for having me. I really appreciate being a part of this webinar and presentation. Really appreciate the partnership that I have with both yourself and the Women's Business Center and Nevada Business Opportunity Fund, as well as Marcel's, the Department of Business and Industry. I know you guys very, very well. For those of you who don't know, the Urban League, we provide a plethora of services to low-income families and communities. We do everything from providing childcare and women's health nutrition for women's about to have children to, reinventing individuals coming out of incarceration. I head up something called the Entrepreneurship Center and Financial Empowerment Center, and we're in the business of basically helping new entrepreneurs who want to start new businesses get started and helping existing small businesses improve their profitability and grow their revenues. We've been very successful the last year thanks to the help of everyone that you guys are seeing on the screen right now. So thank you all for that. One of the things we do the most, at least in my experience, Kathleen, and you've seen this,
Yes.
is help individuals create business plans.
Yes.
And so you and Rob and Marcel all have introduced me to something called a business model canvas. You can Google this at any point in time. And so if you're struggling, if you've never written a business plan and you need a business plan to get funding or what have you, well, you've got 4 resources on the webinar right here, and you can jump online and learn how to actually start to document what your business idea is. So we all are here and we exist to help you make that business plan or that business model come to fruition.
Excellent. Thank you, Dino. And on behalf of the Nevada Women's Business Center, we really appreciate the partnership and the resource that the Las Vegas Urban League serves in the community. So thank you so much for being here this morning.
Thank you as well.
And it's also my pleasure to introduce another resource partner of ours, the Nevada Department of Business and Industry. It's my pleasure to introduce to you the Deputy Director, Marcel Shayer. Marcel, good morning. How are you?
Well, good morning, Kathleen. I'm just doing great. Thanks again for the invitation. As Dino was mentioning, it's always a pleasure just to interact with all of you. I know that you are champions in the community, holding hands with individuals that really, really need help. And it's always a pleasure. And on that topic, Kathleen, I know that you and I were at the Doing Business in Southern Nevada event that took place on Wednesday.
Yes.
So that was a wonderful opportunity again to help individuals who are planning or are already in business and they need to grow their businesses.
Yes, definitely. And speaking of which, Marcel, the Nevada Department of Business and Industry, it has a plethora of resources that are available to someone who's thinking about starting a business or an established business. And under your leadership, you recently created a fantastic guide to help people start a business. And would you like to speak about that and share that with the audience? Let me bring that.
Absolutely, Kathleen. And of course, business.nv.gov we have a wonderful amount of information and resources. If you just access, as you can see on the screen, the Business Resource Center, number 1. But one of the things that we created. And when I say we, Kathleen, because it was it's everything that we do in life is always a team effort, and I think we need to understand that.
Mhm.
Internal resources, just wonderful individuals helping with this concept, and in particular in my office, Chris Wise was instrumental in basically capturing what you are showing on the screen, which happens to be the roadmap. And again, a lot of input went from the resource partners, all of you contributing into making this a reality. But what you see here is an interactive approach to basically starting, running, and growing a business, because you can click on any of this information. Dino was mentioning the business model canvas, or you are clicking on the business licensing, Kathleen, and it will connect you with Silver Flume, but also with different counties. So the map that you see on your right is quite interactive. You can just click and get into any of that information. But Dino was making reference, I believe it's under getting help, Kathleen, if you click on that, the first one.
Yes.
All the way close to the I-15. There we go. Let me see here. No, I think it's the next one. It has to do with planning. But as you can see, there are wonderful resources there, including, of course, the Nevada Women's Business Center. But under the planning, there you go. And as you can see, there is a business model canvas sort of information there in terms of framing your business idea. Just wonderful information. One of the things that I reflected, Kathleen, just real quickly here with the audience this past Wednesday was that, and probably many of us are familiar with the show called Naked and Afraid.
Yes, I am.
On the Discover Channel. And it's sort of this exercise that you are dropped somewhere in a jungle or a desert, naked, and then, of course, afraid because you don't have any tools.
Right.
And you're provided just a little map. And I often, in over 20 years that I have been running a small business with my wife, Sylvia, we have felt that sometimes we were naked and afraid. And we needed a roadmap.
Sure.
So this roadmap was created with that idea that individuals can hold hands with people who know about the subject matter, that they can provide expertise, and that's why we created this roadmap that happens to be a guide to starting a business in Nevada. And of course, when I mentioned holding hands again to the people who are joining us this morning, has to do with wonderful individuals such as yourself, Kathleen, Rob. You are just such a great champion when it comes to the business model canvas. And Dino, you're always interacting with the community, and the Urban League is just such a wonderful resource in terms of entrepreneurship. So there you have it. It's faces attached to this roadmap, and we are here to help. All you have to do is interact with this information and get to the right resources.
Yes, I agree. And there's so many resources in the community that's available for anyone that wants to start a business or has a business in Nevada. We have the Small Business Development Center, we have SCORE, we have our agency, we have the Las Vegas Urban League, various chambers of commerce, organizations, and we're all here to help support the growth and development of small business. So it's always a pleasure to collaborate with each of your agencies in that capacity. So thank you so much for your partnership and your service in the community. So
Absolutely.
Thank you. So with that being said, I'd like to continue and introduce to you our guest speaker today, who's going to talk about marketing strategies. And our guest speaker is Robert Selander. He's the owner of RRS2. He's also a co-author of the phenomenal book about marketing, the Marketing Plan Today. And Rob has an a tremendous amount of experience in small business development and a strategist as a business consultant. He's very creative, very engaging, and it's such a pleasure to share his knowledge and expertise with our clients that are tuning in this morning or who will watch this webinar after the fact at their leisure. So Rob, welcome. Thank you so much for being our guest speaker today.
Thanks, Kathleen. It's always great to partner with the Women's Business Center. And, you know, as I set up here, as Kathleen switches the screen and everything, you know, you're going to get a lot of information today, but if you only get one thing out of this, let it be the knowledge that there are a lot of resources out there and you don't have to go it alone. So I think that's the most important thing if you take away just one thing. So again, I'm Rob Selander, RRS2 is my company. And an overview of what we're going to talk about today, I'm going to give you a very simple system for creating the foundation for your marketing, messaging, and communications. And if you look at all the little blocks over to the right, all the Facebook and all that stuff, that's not what we're going to be talking about. Because to talk about those things right now is like, let's say that you woke up this morning and thought, hey, you know what, it's time to get a new house, get a new apartment, whatever. And before you even look at anything, you run down to IKEA and you buy the curtains and you buy all the other stuff for your house, which you are going to need. But until you know what you need, what size you need, where they're going to go, and what you're going to do with it, it's going to be a waste of time and a waste of money and a waste of effort. So what we're going to talk about is setting up that foundation so that when it does become time to do your Facebook and your blogging and all of that stuff, that you've actually got the really clear message and understanding of what you're doing and why. So I want to start with, what is marketing? Well, before I get to that, marketing is not a post on Facebook. It is not an Instagram page. It is not a blog post. Those are all channels. In other words, that's how you get the marketing to your customers. That's how your customers see what you're trying to communicate. So marketing is actually communicating your value proposition to your customers. Now, what's a value proposition? So a value proposition is when you take your products, your services, your idea, your knowledge, and you understand how that fits with your customers, and then you send the message to your customer saying, hey, look, I've got this really shiny, great thing that's going to help you or make your life better, make you feel cooler, help you get a date, help you get a job, help you save $100, whatever that is. And then hopefully, if you do that right, the customer will come back, start engaging with you, maybe asking for more information, asking for a demo, maybe try it out on a free trial, and then hopefully open up their wallet, open up their pocketbook, swipe their credit card, and hand over some cash, and now you're in business. So one of the things I've heard a lot, I did a lot of business counseling. I worked with the Women's Business Center at the Women's Business Center for about 3.5 years. And one of the most common things I would hear is, well, I have something that everybody needs and everybody's my customer and everybody's going to want it. And therefore, I don't really need to worry about marketing. I don't really need to do any of that stuff because people are just going to get it. Or I'm going to have a bar on, let's say, Fremont Street here in Vegas, and all these people walk by every day. I'm guaranteed success. Unfortunately, it doesn't work that way. And to illustrate that a little bit, I'm going to talk about, I'm going to give you a little short story about a guy named Otto Rohwedder. Now, you may have heard of him, you may not have. But what he did is he didn't invent the greatest thing since sliced bread. He actually invented sliced bread. Now, so he has this machine. He worked on it for years. The first one got destroyed. He built it again. His whole life went into this machine. He was super excited. He goes out to the bakers and all these other people doing bread. They did not like it. They didn't understand it, and they didn't need it, right? They were already selling bread. So for them to sell sliced bread meant probably more employees, more time to get the bread ready. They had to do something else with the bread. It wasn't worth their time. They did not understand why sliced bread needed to exist. Now, who did understand why sliced bread needed to exist? The housewives that were at home cutting dozens of slices for toasts, for sandwiches. And back then, people had large families, right? They might have 7 or 8 children. So you're talking a whole lot of work slicing that bread. So once Wonder got into the market and once Wonder discovered it, they're like, hey, they understood the value proposition and they told the housewives who, took care of the house and did all the grocery shopping back then, hey, look, we have sliced bread for you. We can make your life easier. And it took off because people actually understood the value that sliced bread offered. Now, Jell-O took a completely different approach. Nobody knew why they would ever need this wobbly stuff that made, fruit and whatever float in midair, supposedly. So what they did was they created a recipe book, and they spread the recipe book out among all these housewives in neighborhoods who then said, hey, I want to be a good mom. I want to do this. I want my fruit to float off the table. So they went to the grocery store and they demanded Jell-O. Now, obviously, the people at the grocery store were like, I don't know what you're talking about. Well, then guess who happened to come by in the next few days? A salesperson from Jell-O. And guess what the grocery stores bought? Because they understood the value proposition that if they bought Jell-O, housewives would buy. So it's very important that we understand the value proposition. You need to know what you're offering to customers and why customers should want it or care about it in the first place. So that's really where we need to start with marketing. So now that we've got that, and there's other things out there where you can really do a deeper dive into value propositions, that's a whole webinar all on its own. But now that we have that, we are going to dive into the marketing plan. So the marketing plan that we're going to talk about today is 6 questions every entrepreneur needs to answer, from target audience to the role you play to why people love you, how you stand out, the results you want, and the financial goals that you have. So where we're going to start is my favorite place, and that is with your customer. Now, most people do this wrong. They look at their customers and they either, like I said, lump them into, okay, everybody needs my product or service. And I'm going to tell you right now, a little secret, even if everybody on the planet has a need for your product category, like let's say bottled water, right? We all need that to survive. Not everybody is your customer. Some people will drink Aquafina because it's cheap. Other people will drink Fiji water because there's something of status attached to it, and everything in between. So traditionally, the way businesses and big corporations have described their target audiences is with what I think is pretty meaningless information, at least up front. So I'm going to use myself as an example. I'm in the 45 to 55 age range. I live in Las Vegas. I'm self-employed. I own a home. I have a child. And a lot of people, when they start marketing or when they do marketing, that's the type of information they gather. But I have never, ever woken up in the morning or was sitting on my couch thinking, hey, because I'm a 45 to 55-year-old male living in Vegas, I'm going to go do this. That has never happened. It never will happen. So when you think about your customers, think about what they're trying to do. What job are they trying to get done? And by job, I mean anything they're trying to accomplish, from buying a new car, saving an extra $100 a month, losing 30 pounds before a class reunion, getting their children into school, getting a date, anything they're trying to do, because then you're adding value if you can help them do that. And you want to be specific about what your customers are trying to do, because if you say, oh, my customer is anybody that wants to lose weight. Well, if I lose a pound, basically I've lost weight, but I'm not going to be very happy about it, and neither are your customers. So really figure out who they are ideally, what they're trying to do, and then you take your value proposition and you know how you can actually engage with them, and you know why they should actually care. And the reason why the target audience is so important is because if you don't know who you're talking to and why you're talking to them and why they should care, nothing else matters. Your product doesn't matter, your ads don't matter, your blog does not matter, nothing matters because nobody is going to care. If you don't know why I should care, I don't know why I should care. So really be attentive, really be diligent in figuring out what your customers are trying to do, what problems are they having while they're trying to do that, and how can you eliminate those headaches. And you don't have to eliminate all of them, but if you can eliminate a major one, that would be really cool. And to kind of put this into, to give you an example of that, because there are 3 types of customer jobs. There's the functional job, that's what people are trying to do. There's the social job, how will I be perceived when I do this? And the emotional job, how am I actually gonna feel about it? So if I look at the TV commercials where the housewife or whoever opens up the dishwasher, out come the spotty dishes, and of course her naggy mother-in-law is there, she's got a house full of company and she's mortified. So her job is, she wants to have dishes that don't have water spots on them. Socially, she wants to look like a good wife, mother, hostess, whatever. And emotionally, she wants to feel good that she's taking care of her family, that she's making a good impression, and that she is, you know, just a really good wife, mother, whatever. So when you look at your customer, focus on that information. Once you've done that, then...
By the way, Rob, sorry to interrupt, but
no,
the examples that you provided for the value propositions are just outstanding.
Yes.
I wanted to mention that, my goodness, they are simple, direct to the subject of what a value proposition is. And what you call the ideal customer also, what we need to do is to target those customers that really can embrace that value proposition. So I just wanted to mention that.
Absolutely. And with that being said, could we find out at what stage of development or the attendees that are tuning into the webinar, where are they in their marketing plan development? So if you just can bear with me, I'm going to launch a short poll. And
okay.
Audience members, I'd really appreciate it if you could just give us your opinion about your stage of development in your marketing plan with your business. If you just take a few moments, we'd really appreciate your input. So are you thinking about it, with your marketing plan, or have you at least created the first draft? Because that's a good step in the right direction. Is it completed, but it needs a little tweaking, or have you actually launched it, which is great. So let's share the results.
Yeah, back to me, or?
Okay, so I just wanted to share the results with everyone in reference to where our audience is and their development of their marketing. And with that, yes, back to you, Rob.
Okay, cool. So the next thing we're going to talk about is, what role do you play in their life? Now, again, this is one of those things that might seem obvious, but I'm going to use the example of a camera, right? A camera is a camera is a camera. A camera takes pictures, whether that's a 60-year-old camera, a Polaroid Instamatic camera, or the camera you've got sitting in your cell phone. A camera only takes pictures, but the role it plays for all of us is very different. So, for example, if I'm the kind of person and I'm putting my entire life out on Instagram, then the role that plays is really a role of self-promotion. If I am, let's say, doing fitness tutorials, or let's say a video like this where I'm teaching people about marketing or something, then the role in that is really almost a co-facilitator in education. If I am a, let's say, if I use it to capture news stories, for example, then it's really, and that's my job, then it's really almost my colleague, it's my partner, it's my, it's the person or that thing that's helping me actually make my money. So when you understand the role that you have in your target audience's life, again, it's easier to communicate with them. So if I use the example of hair color, right? Again, hair color is hair color, but what role does it play? Now, if you're looking at somebody who wants, pink hair, blue hair, and they just want to look kind of wild and crazy and fun and out there, it plays that role of almost transforming their identity or getting them into a certain group of people that have wildly colored hair. I have a 10-year-old son, and he wants to be in that group. He likes having his blue and green hair. Now, if you are using hair color to color up the gray, then the role it's playing might be to help you feel younger. So now we've got that emotional connection. It might help you to look younger, and therefore we might have, that social role, that social job where people, are getting the compliments, hey, you look so much younger, what have you done? So each of those things plays a different role, and you need to understand what role you play in the life of your clients. So like for me, for example, I do business consulting and I help people in their businesses. Sometimes I'm a champion for them, and I really go out there and I try to open doors and I try to knock down walls and stuff for them. Other times I'm a challenger where I question everything they do and I run them through the ringer of the so what and the who cares. And I have a typo on my slide. And at other times I am a person who's really holding their hand, taking them through something and guiding them. And sometimes I'm a teacher, and sometimes it's all of those things at the same time. But if I don't know the role I play for each individual audience, then I'm not going to be able to deliver that and communicate that. So if I'm going in and I'm working with somebody who is a first-time entrepreneur, they really don't know any of this, I have to play a very different role than somebody who's maybe been in business for 5 years, their business is plateaued, they're looking for a way to kind of break through that barrier and go to the next level. Those are two completely different roles I have to play, although in both cases I'm working in a business. So I don't know if anybody has any comments on that before I go to the next slide.
I was just thinking how I will look like with yellow hair, but
Marcel, seriously,
well, maybe you will tell me that. You will challenge and say, no, Marcel, not yellow hair.
I would pay to see you with yellow hair.
I'll jump in with one quick
yellowness.
I'll jump in with one quick thing. Your analogy of you as a consultant needing to tailor your positioning of who you are with your clients, right, is exactly the same thing a business owner has to do in identifying their ideal customer, like you were mentioning earlier.
Right.
So this one slide, this question is critical to knowing who the ideal customer is, as opposed to anyone. My ideal customer is not anyone who just wants to color hair. There's something about that person that I want to try and attract and be able to communicate with and show them that I'm on their side, that I'm providing something that will help to change the or affect the emotional portion of those three different dimensions:
right,
function,
absolutely,
social, and emotional.
And there's some things where you will be able to attach all three of those, like especially in the areas of like fitness, beauty, fashion. All three of those are always there. In other cases, if my lawn gets mowed, I'm probably not going to have a huge emotional attachment to that. But socially, I'm going to think, well, my neighbors are going to see that I keep up my yard, and functionally, I get my lawn mowed. But I'm not going to get all weepy or excited or feel more confident because my lawn is mowed, like I will if I go to the gym, get in shape, lose some weight, so that I can go to the pool and feel confident in the bathing suit. So.
And Rob, to a couple points here, it's important to know what role you play in your customer's life, so to speak, but also realize, don't be someone that you're not in reference to your business's mission. So,
Right.
so
Right.
if So, for example, if you are into if your company is a yoga studio, then don't pretend like you're a 24-hour fitness gym. That's
Right.
that's not your role in the business sector. So, what are your thoughts about being true to your true role, your true position in the market?
I'm
Rob,
all about being
before you
authentic.
answer that question, sorry to interrupt.
Yeah.
Kathleen, as I mentioned, I was only able to join this wonderful team for about a half hour, but outstanding work. Sorry to interrupt. Go ahead, Rob.
All right. Thanks, Marcel.
Take care.
Thanks, everyone. Thank you.
See you
Take care.
later. So when it comes to that, Kathleen, I'm all about authenticity, honesty, truth, integrity, all of those things. So again, to take it back to my business, because I can speak to that with a lot of experience, I do business consulting, but when I work with a brand new entrepreneur for the very first time, there's a lot of hand holding, there's a lot of teaching, there's a lot of explaining and coaching. If I'm working for a business that's been around for 3 or 4 years and they've done it and they know it and they're just they're feeling a bit stagnant, they're making money, but it's not growing anymore, and they really need somebody to come in and shake things up, I'm still doing business consulting, but I have to change what I do because I can't go in there and start talking to them about business licensing and setting up their website, and they've got all of that. But again, I'm being authentic. But if somebody comes and says, hey, you know what, we really need somebody to come in and be a CFO, no, that is not my role. I can't do it. I don't want to do it. So I would pass that on to somebody else. I'm not going to say, sure, I can do it just because maybe they're going to throw a lot of money at me, because that would be a disaster and yeah, it's not going to work out. So it's not about playing an act. It's about realizing what role I play at that moment. Like, I'll use my son as an example.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes we're playing Minecraft together and the role I play is more of a buddy. Sometimes I have to get him to eat his vegetables and we get in big arguments about that, then I really have to play the role of, hard, unwavering parent. And then sometimes I play the role of, caretaker when he's not feeling well and I get him his soup and his blanket. But I'm still his dad, and in every one of those things, I'm still authentic in it. Or as we go through life, right? I'm a dad, I'm an entrepreneur, I'm a friend, I'm a brother, I'm a son. I play all those roles, but it's still me, right? But I can't make my sister eat her vegetables.
Excellent analogies and examples.
If that explains it, I think it's just you have to be authentic, but figure out what's authentic for that client,
right,
and what's relevant to that client, right? Kathleen, you go to the hair salon, you need somebody who can do braids. I do not.
Actually, it's dreadlocks.
Oh, dreadlocks. Okay, sorry. I always get that wrong. But again, even if we go to the same hairdresser,
right,
that person's going to play a different role for each of us, and then a completely different role for Mr. Dino over there.
Yes.
And Rob, really quickly, I love the CFO example that you state, because in business, and this is something Kathleen pointed out to me a long time ago, what tends to happen, I'm a consultant like you, and sometimes you have a tendency just to take a job because it'll make you more money, and you get away from why you got into doing it in the first place. Don't let chasing money push you away from achieving your dream of whatever it is you want to do. So like you said, you could be a CFO. I could hire you as a CFO, but you said I had no desire to do that. That's not what you want to do. Stay true to yourself and stay true to your business mission, and then you'll find out who your real ideal clients are.
Right.
True. And also when you chase, and I did that with my first company, I took every job that came my way and I would do it for any amount of money they were willing to pay.
I did for years.
I was yours. And then when the big projects came along that could change my life, I had to say no because I had no time, because I was doing all these little things just because. So yeah. And with all of this as well, this is not a situation where you answer these questions and you're done. You're constantly going to be reviewing it. Okay, absolutely. What feedback are you getting from your customers? How have your customers changed, right? 5 years ago, I was not a dad. So the choices I made even 3 years ago when I wasn't a dad are very different now, because I didn't care about somebody else's nutrition. I just cared about my own. Now I've got to make choices based on that. And if we don't go back and revisit our clients grow and they change. What each of us wanted, even people on the webinar, what was important to us 5 years ago, some of that's still there, and some of that we look back and like, well, I don't know what I was thinking, because we're on to other things and we've learned more. So, okay, let me move on because I've only got about another 25 minutes or so. So the next question, oops, and why is this not, okay, here we go. Next question I want to answer is, what is the love factor? Now, this is really important because this is the question of, why is somebody going to do business with you? Now, we've talked about value proposition, but I'm going to go out on a limb here and say that nobody watching this, and nobody even on this panel or on this webinar, myself included, has an original, truly original business idea, which means there's other options. Yes, I can help you with marketing plans, but so can 500 other people in Las Vegas. So why would somebody come to me? Why are they going to stay with me when somebody opens up the same business I have 1 block away at half the price? Why is somebody going to stick with me or stick with my product? And that involves looking at your competition. How are you different? How are you better? And there's a lot of reasons people might stay with you. It could be knowledge, like in my case, it's knowledge. It could be, some of it could be personality, right? The person can have all the knowledge in the world, but you really just don't like the way they hold themselves or the way they explain things. It could be because they're the best in the business. The one thing that you don't want to have as your love factor ever is price, especially if it's low price. Because ultimately somebody's going to come in, and what you were doing for 99 cents, they're going to be able to do for 95 cents. And if that's what your customer's after, they're going to be gone. It's a little different when you're at the higher end of the pay scale, because people will seek you out because you're a $300 t-shirt or a $500 pair of shoes. So you really want to know what your love factor is. And even if you are, let's say you are really truly unique and you have something that nobody else is doing in a way that nobody else is doing it, and you are the only destination, it's not going to be long before you have competition. The moment somebody sees that you are making money, you will have 10 competitors, guaranteed, and they will undercut you and they will try to go around you in every way possible. And you need to know why people should love you and do love you. And a really good way to gauge this, especially if you're going to be using social media or doing like webinars like this where there's an evaluation at the end, is what are people saying? Do they say that they love you because you're knowledgeable? Do they love you because you always come in under budget? Do they love you because of the quality of your products? Do they love you because you're open 24 hours? And love doesn't always mean being the best. So if you look at Starbucks, I've never heard anybody say Starbucks has the best coffee in the world. Like, most people will say Starbucks coffee is mediocre at best. But why do people love Starbucks? They're convenient. They've got their drive-through. You can order with an app. You don't even have to stand in line. There's one in pretty much, every other corner in every city across the entire United States. If you go to London and you go to Starbucks, you can get the same caramel macchiato that you get here in Las Vegas. You can get that same drink in Singapore. You can get that same drink anywhere there's a Starbucks. That's why people love Starbucks. Not because their coffee's the best, but because of everything else around it. So, any comments on this before I switch?
I would,
Go ahead.
I would say with the examples that you're giving, Rob, it really is helping the audience, especially based upon the poll results, that they're thinking about a marketing plan. All of the examples that you're giving with each question, it really does help to facilitate building that foundation for the concept and content of the marketing plan. So I really
Awesome.
do appreciate the examples. Excellent.
And after the next couple questions, I'm actually going to show a marketing plan for a multi-level marketing company, because it seems to be where a lot of people are going. So you can really see how all these questions come together and how they work together and how they play off of each other, because it's not just one question. Yes.
To your point on Starbucks, Rob, it's really funny because I was in Seattle recently, and Starbucks, I mean, it's headquartered out of Seattle, but Starbucks is not the best coffee in Seattle. In fact, you ask anyone who's there, they'll say Seattle's best coffee, which started long after Starbucks, right? The competition, they are the market perceived best coffee.
Right.
But you know what? Starbucks is still all the locations still exist in Seattle.
Right.
Amazing.
Kathleen and I like this coffee shop downtown.
Yeah.
And they have amazing coffee. The problem is when I'm home, that coffee shop is a 20-minute drive. Or I have a Starbucks within pretty much walking distance of my house. So yes, when I go downtown, there's a couple places I absolutely love the coffee, but Starbucks is convenient. And that's one of the reasons I love Starbucks. That's why I have the app. That's why I go there. But if I have another convenient choice, then I will take that choice over Starbucks. So again, and Starbucks knows this. You know, I'm sure they know they're not the best coffee in the world. They don't claim to be the best coffee in the world. So, okay, on to the next one. So how do you stand out? And this is really important. How are you going to stand out from the competitors? So this could be, you know, are you going to let people try it before they buy it? Are you going to, you know, do business in a way that nobody's done before? Like going back to Starbucks idea, as far as I know, they're the very first coffee shop or coffee place to have an app where you can order ahead, where you collect stars based on what you've got, where you can design your own drinks. So that's really another way how Starbucks stands out. When I would get coffee before Starbucks, you got caffeinated, decaffeinated, small, medium, large, and you either had half and half milk and you had sugar or sweet milk. That was it. There was no caramel, there was no whipped cream, there was no salted whatever. There were no frappuccinos. That didn't happen. So, and that's really how Starbucks stood out. Again, not because of their coffee, but they stand out for all their flavors, and they stand out because they are everywhere. You were never more than 5 minutes from a Starbucks most of the time in any metropolitan area. So any questions on that, comments on that?
The only comment I would add, Rob, is that there are lots of people that attend Starbucks who never buy the coffee. Starbucks was the first real pure internet cafe where you could go and connect to their Wi-Fi, and people use Starbucks as their office and have no desire to purchase anything there at all.
And I am a person that uses Starbucks as my office. Now, I have my office here at home, but sometimes I just want that different environment. I love working at Starbucks. Now, again, I prefer to work at the coffee shop downtown that I love, but I don't always want to go, you know, 20 minutes or 15, 20 minutes out of my way and then deal with the parking and everything else. And Starbucks is just a little bit more convenient for that. So again, that's how they stand out. And then, right, they've got the music, they've got all the other stuff that comes with it. So it's really interesting. Okay, so the next question, what are your goals? Now, these are not financial goals, and this is where so many people mess up when it comes to marketing. They go from, I'm going to put up a Facebook ad and I want people to buy. It normally doesn't work that way. Think about when you go to even a brick and mortar place. So you go to, let's say, Macy's, and you're going to buy, let's say, a t-shirt, and you know what your size is. You're probably going to try it on. You're going to hold it up. You're going to do all of these things. You don't just go up to the walk-up window at Macy's and says, hey, hand me a red t-shirt in this size and leave. It's going to be the same thing for your business. People are going to want to maybe get more information. Now, not for everything. Obviously, if you sell bottled water, it's a pretty easy thing for people to understand. But you're going to have some way for people to, in most cases, to engage with you first. So do you want to give them are you going to give them a half off a haircut? Do you want them to download a PDF off your site? Do you want them to sign up for an event, attend a webinar, sign up for your newsletter? All of these non-sales things, what do you want them to do? Now with this, you want to make sure that you can handle the goals that you're asking for. So before you sign people up for your weekly newsletter or your weekly video, do you have the time to create a weekly newsletter or create a weekly video? If you want people to call you, can you handle that? I used to work in a call center, and on a really busy day, I'd have about 80 phone calls on a really busy day. Now, that was when I was sitting at a desk and I did nothing but call to call to call to call to call. There is no way I personally could handle 60 phone calls, business calls on my phone in a given day. I don't even know if I want to handle 60 business calls in a given week, because I wouldn't be able to give the quality. So before you go throwing your number out there on a Facebook ad that's going to be seen by 20,000 people, make sure you can handle what you're asking them to do. Make sure that, if you're going to get their email addresses, that whether you're using MailChimp or Constant Contact, that you have the subscription that lets you have that, enough space so that when people sign up, because you don't want to send that out there and 1,000 people go to sign up for your newsletter, but your subscription, you can only have a max of 250 people. So make sure that you've got all that stuff in place. And really quick, you want to use SMART goals. I'm going to go through those really quick. So you want to be specific. So, because if you say, oh, I want to increase sales, I want more people to my website, well, one more person clicking on your website is more people to your website, success. But that's not really going to do anything. So do you want to increase your visits by 10%? Or do you want 100 people to go to your website? Do you want 500 people to download your PDF? 25 people on your webinar? It's whatever, and there's no right or wrong answer. It's what's right or wrong for your business. So you want to make sure what you want them to do, but also understand, why do you want them to do that? Because again, if you're going to sell bottled water, there's not really a need for a webinar or a PDF on why hydration is important or any of that. People understand. So then you want to make sure that the goal is measurable. How are you going to make sure it's a success? If you can't measure it, you can't come back and say, that was a flop or that was a huge success. Make sure it's attainable. Because if I do a campaign and I say, well, I really want, 10,000 people to sign up for my newsletter this week, that's not going to happen unless Oprah Winfrey goes out there and pitches it. That's not going to happen. You want to make sure that it is relatable to your business. So, for example, I am not going to give away movie tickets for you to do something on my site, because that has nothing to do with my business. It's great for the movie company. There's nothing to do with my business. It's not relevant. You want to make sure it's relevant. And then timely, because if you say, hey, I want 500 people to like my Facebook page, there's a very big difference between I want 500 people to like my Facebook page by the end of the day today or over the course of the next 6 months, because that's going to tell you the urgency and is it even realistic that you want that type of goal. So know what your goals are, and as you start getting to this stage, you may have to kind of start going back and forth a little bit and making sure that there's a balance in your marketing plan. Because if you're giving everybody, so for example, business consultant, if I were to put an ad out there and everybody who responds, I'm going to give them a 15-minute free consultation. I can only do, if I do nothing but that, and back to back to back, I can only do 3 in an hour. And in a, if I fill up my day, 3 times 8, That's not a whole lot. So if I fill up my day with that, then I'm filling up my day with non-paid clients. So again, make sure your goals are realistic and make sure that your goals, if they start happening, are setting you up for success, because you can waste all your time giving away free consultations for 15 minutes. And I've actually fell into that trap a little bit at one point with a different company I was working with, and fortunately was very quickly able to get out of that. So be careful with that and understand how it impacts your time.
And Rob, we have a question from one of our audience members.
Oh, awesome. I love questions.
Hi, Latasha. Good morning. Thank you so much for your question. Her question is if you're trying to get an in-home health business out there, what is the best way to market? Please advise. So an in-home healthcare business, and
okay.
Any comments?
Yes. Hi, Latasha. So for anything like that, there is no one clear-cut answer, and it goes back to understanding who your customers are. Because part of understanding who your customers are is how do they spend their day and where do they get their media. So if you're doing a home healthcare business, who are you targeting? Are you targeting the children of the, I'm assuming it's elderly, and just in this at least example, are you targeting the children of that person? Are you targeting family members of that person? Are you targeting that person? Because if that person, let's say, I'm going to use, let's say my aunt who's in Oregon. Now, she's one of those people, she's really active on Facebook and all of that. So that would be a really good place to reach her. If I look at my mom's so scared of technology that if she pushes a button on her computer, she thinks the world's going to come to an end. So by understanding your customers, you can get to know where you are. Now, one thing I would do if I was launching my own home healthcare business, again, putting me on the spot here because I haven't even considered that before, I would try to maybe subcontract with people who are already doing that, who may have overflow, because there are a lot more people, from what I understand, there are more people that need home health care than there are resources available right now. And if it's not yet, that's supposed to be coming if my information serves me well. That's one thing I would do. Another thing I would do is make sure that people who are going to be referring people to healthcare, so maybe doctors, nurses assistants, physicians assistants, people maybe down at the senior center, know that your services are there and are available. Because if I was going to get home health care for somebody, I'm probably going to start that's probably, if I was going to get it, let's say from my mom, I would probably start there, asking for recommendations of, did they know somebody who could do this or know somebody who could do that? Blogging could be a really good way to do that. Facebook could be a really good way to do that. And you can also start by giving people tips of how to care for somebody. Again, as going with just the elderly example, I know there's other reasons people get home health care, but going with the elderly example, you could do things like Facebook videos that really hit the need, help people do the job they're trying to do, right? There's a lot of people caring for parents here, and giving them the value without selling something. And that's very, in my opinion, that's a really good strategy. That's what I personally like to do, even with my business. That's why I do stuff like this. One of the reasons I do stuff like this, because people get to see the value of what I do without any talk of sales, without any push for sales, without anything that says buy now, sign up here, or whatever. I'm giving the information, and hopefully that's going to add value. So I don't know if that helps. I'm kind of a little bit all over the place, but you really have to understand your customer and what job are they trying to do, and where can you intersect them.
And speaking of which, Rob, you did touch upon a particular client type that Latasha is looking to market to. She said in her comments that is the elderly and disabled and the family members that are seeking the help. So it's those three market segments that she's looking at: elderly, disabled, and
Okay.
the family members. So you did touch
And
on some of those things.
yeah, and to go into a little bit of the tactics, I would get involved in Facebook support groups. I would get involved in live community support groups where people actually, go and say, hey, and just where they talk about and they can really, kind of get support, because only people caring for an elderly person understands what it's like to care for an elderly person. And there's a lot of support groups out there, right? If there's magazines, like local magazines or e-magazines, or start your own, start putting in tips, start putting in content, become a subject matter expert, and then people will start seeking you out. LinkedIn could be a good place for that. Because most of us have, at least, once you're talking to people at a certain age, most of us now know somebody who's caring for somebody at home. I know at least 3 or 4 people that are in that situation. So, again, get involved in where are they going? Are they going online for support? Are they involved in forums where you can engage and interact and intersect them? Those types of things. What can you create of value to help them, even if they can't afford to hire you? Because even if they can't afford to hire you, people taking care of other people, people that are taking care of people tend to know other people who are taking care of people. So while they may not have the money to hire you or the need to hire you, they may know somebody that they can refer you to that definitely has the money and the need to hire you. So yeah, I hope that helps. Anything else, Kathleen? Dino?
Oh, great. Thank you very much, Rob.
Sure. Okay. So the last of the questions, we are going to talk about what financial results do you want? This is pretty self-explanatory, but what you want to do is make sure that you tie that to the first non-financial goals. So what am I talking about here? Really, conversion rate. So let's go back to Latasha's example. Let's say she creates a weekly newsletter or a PDF that people can sign up for or download, all about some do's and don'ts when providing healthcare, or maybe even like, 5 questions you need to ask, a potential home healthcare provider. Make sure, how do you pick the right one, for example, and that could really serve you well. Out of that 100, obviously not all 100 are going to become your client, but you kind of want to figure out what is your conversion rate. Because if your conversion rate is 10%, if you need 30 clients, you need at least 300 people to engage with your newsletter or PDF, or go to a presentation you're doing. Actually, the speaking platform is really going to be awesome too. That's a really good way to put yourself out there as an expert, and to get a lot of exposure, because if 40 or 50 people go to an event, or even if just 20 people go to an event, they see you, they hear you talk, and they get to experience your personality, which is, again, something that's going to really be important in home healthcare, because I'm not going to just trust my mom to just somebody who has the medical knowledge or the healthcare knowledge. I'm going to trust her to somebody who's maybe going to be a little funny, keep her entertained, somebody who's going to be, engaging and kind of keep her mind a little bit younger and all of that. So that gives people the chance to experience you in again, a non-salesy, non-promotional, and just in a very comfortable way. So, but you want to tie that back to the financial results you want. So if you're, again, if you need 30 clients, and as you pay attention, you realize that, oh, I'm converting about, 5%, 3%, 1%, 10%. That number really doesn't matter as far as is it good or bad, but that just tells you how many contacts you need. How many, if you go do a speaking engagement, you usually get 1 or 2 clients. Then if you need 10 clients, then you need at least 5 speaking engagements. So things like that can really help you set up your plan. Any questions on this? Because then I'm going to go into actually showing what this all looks like, because we're kind of winding down on time a little bit.
Actually,
Okay.
Latasha made a comment, and she said
Okay.
she totally agrees with what you said, Rob. in reference to the number scheme of things. And also
Awesome.
marketing comments. So she said thank you, and she agrees with your comments.
Awesome. I'm glad I could help. And I would love if you try something, Latasha, and it really works, I would love to hear about it. And if it doesn't, I would love to hear about that too, because then maybe that'll help me learn something and explain it better next time. So I really hope it goes well for you.
And also, at the end of Rob's presentation, he's going to share his contact information. So, Latasha,
Yeah.
if you'd like to reach out to Robert offline and continue this conversation to explore some marketing strategies, please do so.
All right, cool. Okay, so now we're going to talk about putting this all together. So this is an example that I did for a multi-level marketing company. I'm not going to say who it is. I did change a little bit of any of the identifying information, but I did this because a lot of people are in multi-level marketing these days. They can be really great businesses. I don't do it, but a lot of my friends do. And the reason I picked this is because when it comes to marketing, when I've been confronted with people from a multi-level marketing company and they want me to get involved, they almost always lead with financial independence and financial freedom. And usually about 2 minutes into it, I stop them and I say, okay, so how much have you made on average over the last 3 months? And I get a lot of, well, nothing, or $100. It's like, okay, $100 is a help. $200 is a great help. That is not, in my opinion, financial independence. So for most of us, when we get approached by people in multi-level marketing, they're not financially independent, and therefore we're not going to take them as being credible in that here's how you get financially independent conversation. So if you are doing multi-level marketing, or if you're doing multi-level marketing, here's almost a free marketing plan for you. For everybody else, this will actually show how all these 6 questions come together. Now, I like to work with 4 target audiences. Why 4? Because if you only work with one, all your eggs are in one basket. If you're wrong, then you've got a huge problem. If you work with 4, you could be wrong on 2 of them. You could be wrong on 3 of them. And you've got one going while you tweak the other ones. And like I said, even if you take hair color, you've got people looking to go really wild and crazy. You've got people looking to cover up the gray. You might have a blonde who just wants to know, what does it feel like to be a redhead for a while? There's all different reasons people do it, and you need to talk to each one of those differently. Now, we're not talking to every single possibility separately, but you want kind of the 4 main reasons people would do that. Like if I take the gym, people go to the gym to recover from accidents. People go to the gym to lose weight. People go to the gym to get into better shape. And a lot of times people go to the gym just to work out stress. So those are kind of the 4 main reasons people go to the gym. So, if I'm really in shape, then you don't need to talk to me about losing weight. If I'm recovering from a car accident, don't talk to me about competitive bodybuilding, because I'm not there yet. So, okay, here's what it all looks like. The grand unveiling. Ta-da! So each of the columns is a specific target audience, which you can see. So we've got, and if we turn this into jobs, right? I want extra income. I want to change my career. I want flexibility. I want to start my own business. Then as we go across, I'm not going through the whole thing, but I'll go through a couple of them. So for people that really want extra income, what is the role I play? I help people relax. Why? Because people that want extra income, for example, in this case, you were talking about the people that lay awake at night, worried that their lights are going to be shut off, or wondering how they're going to, get the tire on the car when they're, not even sure how they're going to put groceries on the table. So this can help people relax. I can help people sleep at night. And the reason people are going to love me, and again, this isn't my company, I'm just acting as though, is because I'm going to get you immediate income. You're not going to wait 2 months for, if you make a sale, you're not going to wait 2 months for your income. You're going to have that in about 24 hours, maybe 48. I stand out because it's a low investment. Some multi-level marketing, it costs you $1,500 to get involved. I looked at when it was $2,500 to get involved. I thought, yeah, you're crazy. But this is a low entry investment, even enough money to where most people could actually borrow it or borrow it from a few people. And the goal for this was 2 guests per meeting, 1 time per week, right? 2 people, I just need 2 people at a meeting once a week. I think that's a pretty reasonable goal, because if I can't get 2 people to a meeting in a week, I probably should not be doing multi-level marketing. And the results of that is I wanted 4 new members a month. Now, the person I worked on this with had about a 75% conversion rate when they got people there. So to get a 50% conversion rate, that would give about $400 a month, $2,400 over 6 months. Now, if I'm just looking to keep the lights on, that is a whole lot of cash, right? That's my electric bill for the next 3 years or whatever. That's a lot of money. Now, if I look, I'm going to go down to, let's say, starting my own business. So I want to start, somebody wants to start their own business. The role is going to be, I'm going to be your partner for success. And you're going to love me because it's business in a box. And that means you're going to get your training, your marketing materials, your collateral, your strategy, your notebook, your pictures. Everything is done for you. You don't have to think about it. You just have to implement it. So we're going to stand up because it's a total business solution. We've got your cards, your notebook, your posters, your videos, everything. Now for that, I want to get 3 people at an entrepreneur meeting 1 time per month. And I personally think in today's market, when more people are thinking about starting their own business, again, 3 people once a month, I think that would be a pretty reasonable thing to do. And if 2 members sign in, if 2 of those people sign in every month, and again, that was his conversion rate, that's an extra $200 a month. That's $1,200 over 6 months. So if just those 2 work, I would be looking at $600 a month. That is some serious money, especially if you're looking for extra income. Now, the nice thing about this too is we're going to go, if you go across each one of these, you have an elevator pitch. So for example, we meet, I find out you're looking for some extra income. That's awesome. I help people get extra income. I help you relax. I'm going to get you more income to pay your bills. It's going to be immediate. You don't have to wait for a week. You don't have to wait for a month. It's a super low investment. I actually have a meeting coming up next week. I'd like you to be my guest. Boom, elevator pitch. And 1 go. Or you want to start your own business, that's awesome. What I do is I am a partner in success for people that want to start their own business. And I do that through basically a business in a box type situation where I give you a total business solution. If you want to know more, we've got a meeting at the end of this month. I would love you to be my personal guest. Done. Elevator pitch. This fits on 1 page. I have people that put it up on the wall, and when they're on the phone, and once they figure out where their audience is, they know exactly what to talk to them about. Now, maybe somebody's talking about, I want to make extra income today, but I'd really like to turn that into my own business. You can do that. Let's get you up on extra income. Once your bills are being paid, once you can sleep at night, then we'll talk about transitioning you to the next level into a business. So, and that's basically it. And that's what I really love about this. It's we really intentionally wanted to make marketing easy. We wanted to make it available to everybody. I do not believe that marketing or business modeling or any of that belongs to a few people sitting in a little room somewhere that kind of have this secret that they're keeping. I think it should be out there for everyone, and that's what we do. Any questions, comments on this?
Yes, I have one, Rob. This example of what you're showing is actually the core component of your book, The Marketing Plan Today. Would you like to talk to the audience about that?
Sure. Actually, I don't have a copy of the book here with me. because again, I wasn't planning on doing that. But yeah, so the book Marketing Plan Today, we take it, each chapter is dedicated to one of these questions. And we've written it, the whole book, if you were to read it cover to cover, takes about an hour and a half to 2 hours. One of my pet peeves is when I see a book that's like how to craft your 30-second elevator pitch, and it takes me 8 hours to get through the book or 8 hours to listen to the book. So we wanted a book that was going to be quick to read, but help people do a marketing plan. Now notice, and we put it in everyday language. And again, the one thing I like about this, there's a big move towards canvases, right? The business model canvas, the value proposition canvas. This is yet another canvas or matrix, whatever you want to call it. But notice there's no long, complicated paragraphs. It's not a 20-page document to get through. It's a very simple sketch of what you want to do, what you want to accomplish. So here we're looking, you know, it's a very easily, who are we talking to? What do we want to say? Why should they care? What do we want them to do? And what do we want to get out of it at the end? And the whole book is geared towards that purpose, to make it super simple. There's a lot of examples in there, everything from like Carlo's Bakery and why people go to them and what people are looking for when they go to Carlo's Bakery to get their sweets, whatever. We talk about a lot of things, a lot of examples, and also a lot of like what not to do. So yeah, that was really the goal, to make it easy. And yeah.
Excellent. Thank you, Rob.
Sure.
And so we do have another comment here, and it's from Samaj Bruce. She said, pardon me, he or she, pardon me, said that, thank you for everything. This was very helpful. So thank you, Rob. And what we'll do is we will transition over. And again, this was an excellent presentation by Rob. And Rob, do you have some contact information you'd like to share with the audience?
I do. It is on the screen. So my website is rrs2.com. My email, really simple, my name, ROBB @rrs2.com. I've also put on my Facebook and the LinkedIn, depending on wherever you want to connect. That's up to you. Connect everywhere, connect in one place. My website's relatively new. I'm just revamping it. So there are going to be blogs and videos and free things like that where, you know, I'll just talk about, you know, I'll do a lot more work on value propositions. There'll be things on there for, you know, how do you segment your audience? How do you validate that segmentation? Because, you know, you're not going to be able to do all of this sitting in a room or sitting in an office. To do this, to know your clients, you're going to have to go out and talk to them. Yes. You can run polls on Facebook. You can talk to them face to face. You have to get out of your office, get out of your room, get out of the building, and talk to people who are not your best friends or family. Talk to real people that, you know, are really going to tell you what you need to know. So, yeah.
Dino, any comments you may have?
Rob, fantastic job. Great presentation. Very, very palatable, easy to understand. Samaje, thanks for watching. Samaje is a member, employee of the Urban League, and she works with Tim Perez over at WIC, Women, Infants, and Children. And she has her own side business as well. So thanks for listening in, Samaje.
Excellent, excellent, and also
thank you, Kathleen, again for including me. I'm just continuously impressed with this new way of presenting ourselves to to individuals who are looking to continue their business and start new businesses. It's just a great format.
Oh, thank you.
Again, Rob, well done, and Kathleen, well done.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Both you and Rob, excellent, excellent fellow presenters and partners. And we also have a comment from Veronica Royal. She said, great information. Thank you all. So thank you, Veronica, and everyone else. And so with that, let me just transition over. And we have an opportunity here to, excuse me, trying to get this going again. So we had some really good audience Q&A, and thank you so much for your comments. We really appreciate it. And also, any additional closing remarks, Dino? Well, Marcel had to leave earlier, and he was very impressed with how you presented this information, Rob, integrating the value proposition, all of the examples. If I were starting my business again, I really, the tool that you have available in the marketing plan today, that would have changed the whole framework of how I approached my client and my marketing plan. And this Canvas framework that you're using, it's real easy. It's not intimidating.
Right.
I can actually see people who's launching a business, starting a business, thinking about it, who can use this and create some really valuable content that's relevant to their clients.
Well, and you know, Kathleen, you and I have done a lot of business counseling, and Dino as well. And you know, starting a business, running a business, it's intimidating enough.
Yes.
There's enough to do with the licenses and the regulatory stuff and the bank accounts and the taxes and on and on and on and on. I'm a huge believer in keeping things simple and, you know, doing things in the canvas, whether it's, you know, the marketing plan, business model, value proposition. The only one I've helped make is a marketing plan one. It just simplifies things. Things are on a page, a piece of paper. You don't have to spend 2 weeks, you know, doing this. Yes, you may need a business plan if you're going to get funding, if you're going to pull in investors. But if you're just looking to figure out, hey, is my idea really a viable business idea, or is it just kind of a cool idea? We can do that really quick. Again, value proposition. Do we really have something that's going to resonate with customers, or do we just have something we're so in love with that we assume everybody else is going to be so in love with it too? And I just really like that. I'm all about making things simpler, more streamlined, easier to understand, but, you know, so that way people starting up a business or in business can spend less time doing that piece of it and more time building their business and putting the stuff into place.
Thank you for that, Rob. And Dino, we have a question for you from Latasha. She said, great information. Dino, do you have an email that you can disclose? Marcel left the webinar early. Unfortunately, his email address isn't available, but I will contact you, Latasha. I do have your contact information, and I will share Marcel's contact information with you. Or you know what? You can go ahead and go online and Google Nevada Department of Business and Industry. Marcel Shayer, he is the Deputy Director. I'm pretty sure if you call the general number and ask for Marcel Shayer, Deputy Director, and refer to this webinar that he was on this Saturday, Startup Steps Marketing Strategies, then he would be more than happy to connect with you, or anyone for that matter. So you can definitely go online and access the Nevada Department of Business and Industries contact information and contact Marcel. So I hope that helps you out. And Dino, could you please share your contact information with the audience?
Sure. My email is dbrown as in Nancy E at lvul.org. www.lvul.org is where you can find out about all of the Urban League's different programming. You'll see my center there, and I'm directly reachable through that or through the email I just gave you.
Okay, great. And with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, at the end of the webinar, once it's officially ended, you will receive a survey from GoToWebinar on behalf of the Nevada Women's Business Center. We would really appreciate your feedback on this webinar. And again, thank you so much for tuning in and to learning some really good marketing strategies. Rob, excellent presentation. Thank you so much for your partnership, your friendship, and for being a community resource. And
Always my pleasure, Kathleen. And let's go to our favorite coffee place next week and get some really good non-Starbucks coffee.
my pleasure. Thank you. And I'm Kathleen Taylor with the Nevada Women's Business Center. If you'd like to contact us about helping you develop your business, whether you're a startup or an established business, this is my contact information. Thank you again for tuning in this morning. Thank you again, Rob and Dino, Marcel, sending you good vibes out there. Thank you again for tuning in to this webinar for Startup Steps Marketing Strategies. Take care.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye, everyone.